Hey friends! My name is Desiree, aka Mama Friendly, and I do all sorts of videos on my channel. Cooking videos, vlogs, hauls, Disney content, a little bit of everything. So if any of that sounds like fun to you, I hope that you will subscribe and join me on my YouTube adventure. If you're an old friend of the channel, then you've watched me do countless gluten-free and dairy-free grocery hauls throughout the last few months. And if you've seen those hauls, I'll go ahead and I'll post a playlist up here. Then you would be very aware of the fact that I love to stock up on things that my family uses all the time, especially when there's like a buy one get one sale or something of the like. As such, we've gotten to the point where our pantry, freezer, and fridge are so well stocked up that I could not possibly buy another thing right now. I wouldn't have a place to put it. So I am hosting a collab today that I'm calling ShelfTember, and I'm encouraging my friends to share videos of recipes or meals that they've made with stuff from their freezer or pantry. Me personally, I'm going to be trying to share 2 weeks worth of dinner ideas from my gluten-free and dairy-free kitchen, either to use as dairy-free and gluten-free inspiration for yourself. Maybe you're just now starting on your journey. Maybe you've been gluten and dairy-free for a long time and you're out of meal ideas that are not boring to you. Maybe something like this is just what you need to spruce up your regular routine, as it were. And if nothing else, maybe this video or these videos will inspire you to go through your own pantry, freezer, go through your kitchen and see what you can find to make for dinner tonight, because you already bought the stuff, so you might as well use it. Because I bought most of this on sale, then these meals are going to be cheaper for me to make now than if I were to go out right now and buy all of these ingredients. Probably, right? And definitely cheaper than takeout or tossing these things out just to make space. So that is going to be my goal for the next couple of weeks. I probably will not be showing you every meal, and I also probably won't be showing you every recipe. Why is that? A, I don't want this video to be an hour long. B, most of the stuff is going to be prepared or processed stuff that I'm throwing together to make it a little more interesting, using it in different sorts of ways so that it's not just straight up microwaving something and eating it. Not to say that that won't happen, because it might. And C, because not everybody has all this stuff, right? And so I don't want you to necessarily look at what I'm eating and going, oh, that looks good, I'm gonna go out and buy that thing. That's not the point of this video. If you have this stuff on hand, great. If you have similar stuff on hand, fantastic. Switch out what you gotta do and make a meal of your own. But I'm not here to encourage you to go out and buy stuff. The idea is to use what you got. I've made a couple other pantry cooking type videos in the past, so throughout this video I'll be linking them up here. I'll also have them linked in the description box. If there's any recipes I use that I can reference to my channel because I've already shared that recipe in the past, I'll post that up there too. But just think of this as ideas for quick, easy weeknight recipes that you can throw together just from stuff you probably already have. Maybe you want to look out for these items or things like them the next time a good sale comes up at your local grocery store so that you can have them on hand, and know that a good weeknight meal is just opening your fridge door away. But I think I've yammered on enough. Y'all know already what I'm here for. Now I want to get started cooking because I'm hungry, so I want to show you the first meal I'm going to make. But I think that the appropriate thing to do first would be to show you the actual state of my freezer and pantry as they currently are right now. So here's the freezer, and when I tell you that not one more thing fits in here, I am not joking. So there's going to be plenty for us to pick from in here. The pantry is just as full, albeit probably even less organized, especially this area down here. This whole area is my husband's stuff, and it's just all over the place. Up here is the household things, me, my son, general ingredients and stuff, and I try to keep this a little more organized so that I know what I have and what I, can use, so I don't overbuy or double buy ingredients in particular. But there's lots in here. I think that I could probably show you guys a month's worth of meals just from the freezer and pantry, but as I said earlier, I don't want this video to be an hour long, so I'm just gonna stick to the 2 weeks. And who knows, maybe I'll revisit this concept later and do it all over again. Kiddo has joined me with his iPad, but I'm gonna show you guys what I'm intending to make for my first dinner of ShelfTember. First off, I've got this gluten-free General Tso's chicken. I have not ever had this before. I got this at Aldi, and I have had their gluten-free chicken nuggets before, and they're really, really tasty. This is gluten, dairy, and even soy-free. The only allergen listed is egg, which I'm assuming they use to stick the coating to the chicken. But I'm looking forward to that. I'm going to serve it alongside this frozen broccoli stir fry. This is my favorite veggie blend ever. The only thing that keeps it from being like my absolute favorite side dish of all time is the fact that it's not like the steam in the microwave variety, which is not terrible, but you know, I want ease, and I do have to fire up the stovetop for this because it only has skillet instructions. I'm sure I could figure out how to do it in the microwave, but I'm not interested in figuring stuff out right now. Lastly, I've got these little minute cups of rice. So this is a brown and wild rice, and this just goes in the microwave. So the point of this video, there is going to be a lot of processed stuff in it, right? Not all of it, but some of it. And you know, we're doing what we can to add some healthier components where we're able, but this is about ease. This is about feeding your family because fed is best. And so if you don't want as many processed things, I have literally over 200 gluten and dairy-free recipes, most of them entirely from scratch, that you could check out up there in the corner and in the description box below. So if you just want something quick and easy, if you're new to gluten and dairy-free and you didn't even realize that these are options for you, you're in the right place. And if not, it's just a click away. Hello friends, it's time for meal number 2, and this is a little bit of a cheat as far as like cleaning out the freezer, because this is the sort of thing that when I run out I am going to buy more. I always have this on hand because it makes a great base for dishes like it's about to do right now. It makes a great side, it's easy to prepare, everybody in the family can eat it and enjoys eating it. Without any further ado, French fries. Ore-Ida brand is typically pretty safe, but make sure you check your ingredients because a lot of French fries have hidden gluten because they might be battered or like floured to make them crispy, and some of them even have dairy because of, again, some sort of batter, etc. So you have to check your ingredients all the time. Also, something that you may not be aware of, but that it's important to know if you have any sort of allergy or intolerance, don't ever assume or get complacent that since you always buy X brand is always safe, because companies are constantly changing ingredients to make it cheaper for them to produce, to make it easier for them to produce a certain food, what have you. So just because this has always been safe doesn't mean it's safe now. Make it a habit to check your labels regularly. This happens to be gluten and dairy free, and I'm going to top it with this can of chili, having to do the influencer hand trick, and even that's not working. Anyways, it's Marie Callender's Angus beef chili with beans. Obviously use whatever chili you like, with beans, without beans, what have you. This particular one is safe for me because I typically avoid soy, but it's not an allergy like it is with gluten and dairy. So every once in a while I will partake of some soy. Soy protein in particular is what I try to avoid. Now, the ingredient list here does not include soy, but it does have a may contain soy warning on it, I'm assuming because of potential cross-contamination. So if you are actually allergic to soy, that might not be a safe option for you. But look around, see what you can find, or get creative and top your fries with something else. But I have both of these on hand. The can brings 2 servings, so this is actually going to be 2 meals. I'm going to have it now, and I'm going to have it probably for lunch or maybe even breakfast tomorrow. But I'm going to air fry the fries. I'm going to heat up the chili on the stove, in the microwave, whatever. And I personally am going to top it with some green onions. You could use regular onions, whatever you use to top your bowl of chili. Onions, cilantro, cheese. I have a little bit of this Daya Mexican blend that, like a very little bit, that I need to use up, so I'm just gonna go ahead and finish this bag off. This is dairy-free, soy-free, gluten-free. It's not the cleanest stuff because there's a lot of ingredients that go into making cheese when you can't just straight up use milk. So use at your discretion, I guess. It's not something that I eat all the time, but it's nice to have on hand. When you haven't had cheese for as long as I have, it's nice to give yourself a gustito. I don't know how to say it in English. To indulge yourself, I guess, every once in a while. So I'm going to top it with some of this and my green onions, and that should be yummy. Quick, simple meal that we have all the time around here, honestly. So that's meal number 2. Alright friends, I'm keeping it super simple for meal 3 today. I always have, so from the pantry, I always have a ton of these like seasoning and sauce mixes from Simply Organic. Most of their stuff is gluten, dairy, soy free, so make sure you double check, obviously, as I always say. But I'm going to be using this today, some turkey gravy. I'm also going to be using my handy dandy, let me see if I can pick this up properly without dropping it. I keep it in a jar just so that it's airtight, but I always have, Hungry Jack instant mashed potato flakes on hand. They're great for thickening soups and stews, but also great for a side dish or a base of any sort of meal, right? And everybody in the house can eat it, so I've always got that in my pantry. From the freezer, we're going to be using gluten-free chicken breast bites. These are from Aldi. I've recently discovered those, and they're really good. I usually buy Springer Farms chicken tenders. Those are my favorite kind, and every once in a while Publix has them buy one get one free. We also have the Purdue gluten-free tenders on hand at any given point. I really like the Applegate ones, but they are super expensive, especially compared to all these other brands I've just mentioned, so we don't buy those all that often. But I always have some sort of gluten-free chicken tender on hand because it can be used, it's a meal on its own, or it can be used for a million different other things. So in case you haven't guessed it, mashed potatoes, chicken nuggets, gravy. We're going to make KFC bowls today for dinner. I have some of my Daya shredded cheese from the fridge. I don't have any corn on hand, but you might have some in your freezer. You might have a can in your pantry. Feel free to use that if you've got it. I'm not trying to spend money, so I'm not buying any just for this dish. And you could also, you could mess around with this and maybe use like a white gravy instead, white gravy mix, and I don't know, mixed vegetables instead of corn, and now suddenly you have like a chicken pot pie situation going on. So this is another recipe that, depending on what you've got on hand, is very versatile, and you could make a bunch of stuff from the same sort of foundational structure, if you will. That's what I'm doing tonight. Mashed potatoes, gravy, chicken, cheese, and we're calling it a KFC bowl. Alright pallies, it's time for meal 4, I guess. I'm running around crazy. Don't really know what I'm going to have for lunch, dinner, whatever today. I have to eat at some point is the thing. So I was rummaging around in the freezer and I noticed that I had just two gluten-free waffles left in there. And I also have some amount of breakfast sausage. So I thought, you know what? I know I have eggs. I always have eggs. I'm going to go ahead and make myself a little breakfast sandwich of sorts for lunch, dinner, whatever this next meal is about to be. If you have cheese, use cheese. I have some pancake syrup, so I think I might put a little drizzle of pancake syrup on the inside of my waffles to give it sort of like a McGriddle vibe. But mine is just going to be an egg and sausage sandwich on waffles, basically. It doesn't have to be super exotic or complex. It just has to feed you, and that's a good mix of protein, fat, carbs, so I'm feeling good about it. Alright, another day, another meal. We're gonna have breakfast for dinner today. So I've got this container of gluten-free pancake mix. It's the Bob's Red Mill brand. I'm gonna show you guys a picture of the bag right here. And to make this, you need a cup of the mix, 1 egg, 1 tablespoon of butter. I'm using the Miyoko's vegan butter. And you also need 12 tablespoons or 3/4 of a cup of milk. I'm out of my regular nut pods, so this is actually a pantry stable version, and it's a toasted marshmallow flavor, which I think is going to go fine with pancakes. If I were making mashed potatoes or something, I'd be out of luck. But for pancakes, I think it'll be okay. And I happen to have this in my pantry, which is great because I'm out of the regular stuff, like I said. So I'm just going to throw this together and then maybe scramble up some other eggs and some sausage patties or bacon or whatever I find in the fridge, and that's going to be dinner. So yay, preparedness with the pantry. You know what? Run this. This counts, right? I think this counts. Alright, here's a fun one. I typically do this whenever I have like salmon, leftover salmon, but I've made this with tuna before and it's also still really good. This is kind of like a sushi bowl, like a sushi version of a burrito bowl. I've got leftover white rice here, which I've already gone and served up. I'm going to microwave that. I'm going to top it with some of this furikake, which is a seaweed and like sesame seed seasoning, as you can see there. You don't have to use that, you could skip it altogether. If you happen to have little like sheets of seaweed, like for snacking, you could use that instead. Whatever. Mayonnaise, I'm going to mix it with some tuna, and I've got my sriracha as well. If you have green onion, by all means, cucumber, avocado, whatever you have on hand. I don't have any of those things. I don't really use them anyway. I keep it simple. Just the furikake, the condiment, and the fish of whatever kind. And I'm just gonna mix this up and eat it. And it'll be delicious as a little sushi in a bowl. I'm not much for sushi, to be honest, but this I very much enjoy. Meal 42 or something of ShelfTember. I'm really not keeping track, but I'm gonna keep it simple today. I had this ground turkey in my freezer, and I don't know if you guys can see little ice crystals, but it's still a bit frozen even though I took it out overnight to thaw. I'm gonna cook it anyways. As long as it gets to the proper temperature, it'll be fine. That's the great thing about ground meat. So I'm gonna cook up some turkey with some picadillo fixings. I have an actual picadillo, like authentic recipe on my channel, so I'll put it in the corner, I'll put it in the description box. This might not be super authentic because I'm working with what I've got, but I'm gonna throw that together and I'm gonna have it with some minute rice that was in the pantry. So that is going to be a full meal using stuff from my freezer and pantry. Another fast and easy freezer/pantry meal. We've got spaghetti sauce from the pantry, pasta from the pantry, and a brick, one of many bricks of ground beef that I had frozen. I took this out last night to thaw, so it's ready to cook now. And between the pasta and the beef, this meal is going to be packed with protein. Good news is that hubby does not feel like eating this, so I'm actually going to have leftovers for lunch tomorrow. And maybe if I look in the fridge hard enough, I can rustle up some dairy-free Parmesan to go with it. So it's going to be fast, it's going to be filling and comforting and yummy, and I'm going to get to eat it again tomorrow. Win, win, win. Another example of yummy does not have to be complicated. Gluten-free chicken pot pie. I actually really love these, and I only buy them on sale because they could get as high as like $5 each. I never pay more than $3. So, gluten-free chicken pot pie. Random bag of veggies I found. Dinner. Today's ShelfTember meal is going to be a little play on something that I've already made on my channel, if I'm not mistaken, in one of my pantry budget eating type videos. I'm going to have, I think there's only 2 of them, so I'll have them both linked in the description box below. But I'm going to make this bagged frozen sweet potato, carrot, and red potato situation in the oven. And then I've got some of the Idell's chicken apple sausages here. I bought them bulk at Costco a couple weeks ago, and I have no idea what I'm going to do with so many sausages before they go bad, so I figured this will get rid of some of them. I'm going to roast these with them, and I'm going to top it with some eggs, and that will serve me not only for dinner tonight, but for breakfast tomorrow morning. We're starting to wind down, and we've got a real meal here. For those of you that are tired of just processed foods, I'm not yet, but I mean, maybe you are. I'm gonna make sort of a slapped together version of shepherd's pie. I have this pound of ground beef that is once again mostly thawed. I took it out last night, put it in the fridge, and it's, let's say, 80% there. So I'm gonna cook this up. I typically try to do it with tomato paste or tomato sauce, and I don't feel like opening up a whole can just for like the tablespoon or so I'm gonna use. So I had this little bit of traditional Prego in the fridge. I'm just gonna go ahead and use that so that I can get rid of the jar. I'm also going to take this entire bag of frozen peas and carrots, because why not? 4 ounces-ish of, ideally we'd use all mozzarella cheese. This Dia brand one is really good. But as you can see, I'm running very, very low. So I'm going to make up the difference with some of these Swiss cheese slices. This is really tasty. So we'll somehow come up with 4 ounces of cheese between the two. And lastly, I'm going to make some instant mashed potatoes to go over the top. You guys know that I always have instant potato flakes on hand. They're great for a multitude of things, this being one of them. So yeah, I'm going to cook up the ground beef. I'm going to season it with salt, pepper, garlic, onion, oregano, whatever sounds good to you. I'm sticking with like very basic flavorings, and then I'm going to put a little bit of sauce in there once it's browned up, just to give it some color and give it a little more richness. I will likely, maybe I'll start microwaving these. Maybe I won't. I might just do them frozen. No, you know what? I will. I'm going to do the microwave instructions, just because I don't want them leaking water into the finished dish if we were to put them into the oven frozen. So I'm going to get them started so that I can drain them before I put them on top of the meat layer. And then I'm going to make my instant potatoes. I typically just use water and seasoning. If you have dairy-free milk or dairy-free butter that you want to add, by all means. I'm probably not going to do that because we've got other things going on. And then lastly, I'll top it with the cheese. And I think I'll put it in the oven for, I don't know, let's say 15 minutes at 350. At the end of the day, everything is going into it already cooked. So it's just a matter of like warming it all through, maybe starting to melt the cheese. But I'm not concerned about it not cooking long enough and like staying raw or anything. That's not going to happen here. So yeah, let's say 15 minutes in the oven. So what's going to take longest is really browning the beef, but this should all come together pretty quickly. And this is a recipe that I love making. I make it pretty often because it does make leftovers, and it's an extremely hearty meal. So I'm going to be very, very full tonight, and I'm probably going to be very, very full tomorrow for lunch, and maybe even for one more meal after that. I heart meal prepping. You guys have seen me make this on my channel a bazillion times. I'll post the recipe in the corner. This is my frijoles colorado, and this particular type I threw collard greens in and all sorts of other like good nutritious stuff. I'm just gonna thaw this out. and have it for dinner tonight. And it's a very good for you, hearty meal that I didn't have to cook, or at least I didn't have to cook tonight because I cooked a while ago and I thought ahead, and ta-da! By the way, if you're gonna freeze stuff in Ziplocs, if you can manage to freeze it flat like this, it's the best thing you could do because you could just stack a bunch of these like that and it'll save you so much space in the freezer. It's a lot more efficient than just letting them sit in a clump on the bottom of the bag and then you have to figure out how you're gonna Tetris all those clumps together. This is the way to go. I think this is the last meal I'm going to be showcasing in this video, and it's super simple. It's something I make all the time. It's basically a riff on like a tuna noodle casserole, except I don't bake it. I just mix it up as pasta. So I'm going to be boiling my pasta. I'm going to be throwing my green peas in there. I'm going to thaw them out though first. I'm not going to throw them in frozen. Got some Parmesan, vegan Parmesan here. Got a can of tuna that I'm going to drain, and I've got some mayo in the fridge. And I'm just going to make a little bit of like a pasta salad with a tuna noodle casserole twist on it. High protein, and it's something I make all the time. I really enjoy it, so this is a staple in our house. My friends, I almost can't believe it, but that's the end of our ShelfTember. A lot of the stuff was processed food, right? But a lot of it was fresh ingredients that we were able to pull from the freezer and make actual meals with. Regardless, I was able to stick to my dietary restrictions, have all of us be fed, and it was for way cheaper than it would have been typically because I bought most of this stuff and stocked up on it while it was on sale. So if you've never challenged yourself to shop your fridge, freezer, and pantry for a few days, for a week, a couple weeks, a month, I challenge you to do it, and I'd love for you to come back and let me know your experience. Heck, I might even do it again. The fridge, freezer, and pantry are still packed somehow. So if you'd like to see me try this one more time and see if I can't come up with recipes that push my comfort zone a little more, because a lot of these were things that I make all the time anyways, let me know that too. And before you go, please remember to check out that playlist in my description box so that you can see what all of my friends put together for their ShelfTember videos. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up before you go. I'd also love it if you'd subscribe and click the notification bell because I post at least 3 times a week and I wouldn't want you to miss a minute. Thanks so much again for watching. Bye!